Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. So glad you're here as always. Terry, we went on an adventure. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I need a whole week to recoup right now, but I'm good. I'm here for it.
I'm glad that you made it across the border safely. I'm glad you made it to the event. I can't wait to hear all about it. I'm not going to have you replay minute by minute, but tell me everything that happened, starting at the beginning, from when you woke up the morning when you left. No, I'm kidding. Wait, but first things, what are you wearing? I see a new logo. We usually don't have logos. What do you got there?
Yeah, so the shirt is a buddy of mine, Brian, and he has a podcast, and it's called MS Michigan Man.
Okay.
And it's a well-known podcast in his area in the States, and he's also sponsored by, I said, hey, I'm going to Ohio, and he was in the area. He's like, oh, I'm definitely meeting up with you. And also because he interviewed one of the contestants of Miss Wheelchair USA. So he's like, oh, I get to see her again. So he went to see Carmen and to see me. So I got an opportunity to see him. He gave me this shirt. Fits perfectly. There's a design in the back. I'll post it so people can see. It's pretty cool. It's artwork by another MSer. So yeah.
Yeah, we always like that. I got some of that right there. Wait, right there. Yep, right there.
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
But did you have a good time? Did you enjoy your time? Was it as gracious as I thought it would be?
All that anxiety in the beginning for nothing, right?
Really?
We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew I was going to come back and be like, yeah, I stressed out for nothing. I mean, I didn't stress out, but, it was on my mind, and there was a few glitches, but it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just mental glitches.
Oh, on your part or
another time? Yeah, just stress because, my main thing is every hotel I go to, the bed is so high.
Oh, right.
And the first person to tell me that was Laura. We had her as a guest on season 2, I believe. But she's like, watch the beds, they're high. I'm like, don't worry, I'm good. And then I went there and I'm like, what? But then there was a couch that luckily flipped into a bed. So everything was okay. And I said that to a few people. And remember, I'm now in a community of wheelchair users.
Right.
And, so you know what they said to me when I said, but it's okay, I got a couch. They're like, that's not okay. I'm like, why isn't it? Because, you're human. You need to sleep on a bed. They should have said, hey, if the bed's too high for you, don't worry, we have a couch. But they didn't, right? So that's the whole mental thinking.
It's a different mindset. It's now you have a tribe, and the tribe's not letting you slack.
But you know what? The hotel was paid for, man. I was a guest, and I can't, But I did call the host, the reception,
the front desk,
the front desk, and I said, listen, this is a problem. The bed's too high, and I wasn't mean about it, but I did give my concern. I'm like, how do people get on the bed, especially because this whole hotel room was accessible, roll-in shower, But so the lady goes, oh my God, I'm really sorry. We're gonna figure something out. We'll call you back. So I said, okay. She goes, anyway, have a good night. And I'm like, whoa. You're going to call me back. What's the good night? She goes, no, we're going to call you back. I'm just saying. So I said, okay. So they came to my door. I'm on the bed. So I hear a knock and I'm like, because to transfer onto my chair. But luckily, Katrina was coming in at the same time. So she opened the door for her. And this lady's face, like genuine. She had no answers. She said she wanted to figure out. First thing she said is, do you want me to bring you a stool? I'm like, no, I can't stand up. I can't use the stool. But she felt so bad. She didn't know what to say. So I looked at her and said, listen, it's not you. I get it. It's just the whole functionality of this. The beds have to be 6 inches off the floor. I don't understand this. So
probably a health thing.
I mean, who do I talk to change the whole system of accessibility. Like, you know what I mean?
If you have that answer, then
Jesus, right?
yeah.
So another thing about everything was great. Okay, I'm just giving you the negatives because, of course, that's the things that people
Right.
remember. But the
Right.
other negative is bring your own soap, body wash, shampoo, whatever you use. Because when I'm in the shower and the shower head's on me and I'm great, I'm like, okay, where's the soap? It's on the wall right here behind me. So I had to like tilt back and do one of these. It's
Now,
just
do you transfer out or does your chair go in?
no. I transferred onto a bench chair that
Okay.
they supplied.
Oh,
that
that's
I
cool.
had that I asked for. I'm like, can you grab me a bench chair? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. And they're
That's
very
cool.
accommodating, very hospitable, great hotel.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how was the rest of it? I mean,
My God, man.
I saw. Well, when you and I talked, I've not seen
Many
bigger
times.
smiles. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. We talked a lot, but you were
Yeah.
smiling from ear to ear every time we spoke.
Met so many people, man. It was,
Yeah. You met
hopefully we're invited
Wagner.
again next year. Had so much fun, man.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. I could talk hours. The people I met. And if I mention someone, I got to mention everybody. Like they're all funny. Great. Everyone is just, homey. Everyone is like, don't stress. I had a lot of guilt. I kept talking about the guilt that I have. You don't know, man, when you're judging these contestants that take so much work and just to be like, no, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
I
was
don't.
taking a real
Yeah.
serious and yeah, and I had a favorite, but when it didn't go the way when I'm judging, I have these particular, um, curriculums. I don't know how to put
Criteria.
it, but criteria. Thanks, bro. I had these, and when she didn't meet the criteria I was aiming for or looking for, I'm like, I was like, please, I was hoping for you. And then, and I had to be true to myself, so I
Sure.
don't feel guilty in the end of the night.
Yeah. You got to live with your
So,
decision.
and then when I told like one of the head judges, I said, hey, man, the guilt I'm feeling, he's like, the first year I felt the same thing. He's like, you get used to it. You get used to it. And I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I get used to it next year.
Yeah. It doesn't. Not an activity that I like. I don't know. Just because you're right. Because they're all amazing people. They're all doing amazing things, and you're like, how do you decide? But that's what you're there to do.
All amazing. All would love to be on our podcast.
I bet.
I,
We'd love to have them all on.
all at the same time.
We're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to start doing like 2 episodes a week.
Don't tease anyone.
No, it's a lot. I don't know if I can handle that. I can barely do 1 a week.
Yeah. So look, I'm smiling. Remember last episode? Am I here smiling or am I like it was a fail? So all good, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I know I wasn't there, but it seemed really quick because it felt like you're like, okay, we're on our way, and it's like we're here and we're judging, we're home. It's like, whoa, that was fast.
Yeah. I took a lot of video shots. I haven't even gone through it. I need a couple weeks.
Yeah. Now, did you have time to do anything other than judge? Did you have free time? And what'd you do? Just hang out in the hotel?
Yeah, because Truett Wagner, funny guy, bro. It was good to meet him.
I was gonna say real life meetup.
Yeah, I was hanging out with him. We went to the restaurant down. They after the event, like every day after, they all went to like some restaurants, and I didn't go. I said, "Listen, I'm too tired." So, and Dr. T was so cool because he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the hotel too." So us three, we just went back. We hung out. Actually, every night we got some fast food, and we went back and ate. Yeah, so I was doing well the weekend. I was like, anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah,
like,
so I didn't really do anything. Katrina wanted to go to some festival. She understood. She's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." So yeah,
Well,
we didn't really do much.
I'm glad
other
you had
than
a good
that.
time. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you made it there and back safe. Uh, Still a bummer that I couldn't be there with you, but that's the way life goes, right?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think it worked. I don't know how both of us. I think it would have been awkward because two judges from 40 Below Zero.
I hear what you're
Are
saying.
we biased because we both have MS and there's a couple contestants with MS?
Yeah, and that's weird when you watch like any of these singing competitions on TV, and they have like a duo as one judge.
Yeah,
It's kind of like I get you. I get what you're saying.
Would we be one judge?
I
We
don't.
would have
I
been
don't
one.
think so.
See that
No,
would
I
have
don't.
been.
Well, I wouldn't care anyway, but I hear you. It's logistically, it's weird. I
There
get
was
what you're
at
saying.
the very end. There was an MSer who was a contestant, and she was like trying to get out because I was on stage. We were taking pictures. She was trying to leave, and I looked at her, and she's like, "Yeah, I gotta go." I moved my chair. I'm like, "I get it, MSer, get out of here!" And I moved right away fast. She looked at me, and goes, "Thank you," because people are like slow to
Yeah.
move, and
Yep.
you're like, "You don't understand. I gotta go now." So I felt that like you're welcome. Like
Nice.
we're warriors in this together.
That we are.
Thanks, man.
And that's a good segue. We are warriors in this together, which brings us to today's guest, who happens to also be an MS warrior. She is the host of the Demon Within podcast, and we're going to talk about her adventure, and the show, hopefully. So, without any further ado, let's bring in Jenny, and so we can talk about it. So, here we go. Joining us today is the host of the Demon Within podcast. Jenny, welcome to the show. So glad you're here with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Terry tells me lots of good things. Like, let's start by saying how you realized you were a member of the MS family when you received your diagnosis. What was that like?
Oh, confusing. I honestly didn't know what multiple sclerosis was when I received my diagnosis. That was back in 2003. So, the first signs I had that I had multiple sclerosis, I had just given birth to my son. And that was in 2000. I went blind with one eye, completely blind. And my bones, my wrist, I remember my right wrist feeling like I sprained it, even though I hadn't sprained it. So it was just really weird symptoms, and no doctor could tell me what was wrong. And you know how that is. Getting a diagnosis is the hardest part.
For sure.
So while I was in college to become a nurse, I was doing dog grooming on the side. And
Nice.
a really freak accident happened, and that's how we found out I had MS. I got electrocuted while grooming a dog.
What?
It malfunctioned. It wasn't my fault. It was the people I worked for. And
You got to tell the story, of course. You can't. How did you get
I can't say the
electrocuted?
company that I worked for, obviously,
No.
for
Who cares
obvious
about
legal
that?
reasons. But
Did you like put your finger in a socket?
no, the blow dryer. Okay, tell me if this makes no sense at all, or if I'm just going crazy. They had a blow dryer in between two huge bathtubs, electricity in between water. Make it make sense, And there was a long hallway. So when you got to the end of the hallway, the bathtubs are here. The blow dryer was in the middle. So I was grooming this humongous poodle. And it was such a really beautiful dog. I had just got done bathing her. I was blow drying her, and we knew the blow dryer had malfunctioned constantly, and it was just flicking it off, putting it back on, because they didn't want to fix it. So while I was trying to get it to work, I got electrocuted, and there's a gap in my memory when that happened. All I know is that I don't remember it happening. I just know it happened, and then everybody that I worked with was opening the door where the long hallway is, and nobody would come back to get me because the water where I was had traveled all the way to the door from the electrical current.
Wow.
So this is no
Nobody wanted to
joke.
come back there.
Yeah.
And my arms were like
Oh.
all red and swollen, and it was scary.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant like electrocuted, like like a shock.
No,
I didn't think it was that
electrocuted.
serious. I'm sorry. Okay,
like
for
a
real.
time lapse,
Yeah.
hospitalization. And from there, a relapse.
Yeah.
I went blind again. Then all these other weird symptoms started happening. Numbness, zingers, the lightning bolt pains.
Yeah. Yep.
And finally, after going to countless doctors, they did a spinal tap, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Now, when they told me that, I was like, I didn't know what that was, So and back in those days, it's not like we had, cell phones at
2003, you said, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like
So-
technology wasn't where it
just
is
Google
now.
it. Yeah.
So you were like 12 years old, and
I'm not going to say my
What-
age. I was very careful not to say my age.
I just say where are you from in the States? I'm guessing.
Well, no, originally from Jersey. Live in Savannah, Georgia currently, and background is Hispanic.
Okay, cool.
What exit in Jersey did you grow up in?
I don't want to say because it's like hood.
That's it. So
Every
Terry,
time I
love
say,
it.
people are like, "You're from there? Like how?" Like, no, it's hood.
Terry,
it's
that's a thing in Jersey. If you got to say what exit off the turnpike, and they'll tell you exactly where they live.
I won't.
I know, but I'm saying like it gives it away. It gives it away.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
and sometimes
that's
like
funny.
when I podcast, you hear that little accent come out, and I'll like try to like refrain from like the Jersey
Terry makes
accent
fun of me
coming out.
all the time from saying water, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I grew up. I live across the Delaware in Delaware County. So
Okay, so
So
you
I was in
guys are in
Ohio.
the same location then, correct?
no, we are hours away from each other.
Wow,
But I'll visit him in the springtime coming up, I'm sure.
He keeps threatening.
nice.
A guy, he keeps threatening. There was a guy who came up to me at the weekend, by the way, and he came up to me and goes, "You're from Mississippi, right?" I'm like, "What do I look like? I'm from Mississippi?" Like, I'm like, "No, I'm Canadian. I don't even look Canadian, but I'm Canadian." And he's like, "Oh, never mind." And then he walked away, and I was like, "Do I
I would
sound
love
like
to
I'm from
move to
Mississippi?"
Canada.
Anytime,
so
please.
love to visit. I've heard great things.
Like
We
it's
have
my
family
country.
member.
He's the
Anytime.
ambassador. Just
I will
welcome.
give you a passport.
That's amazing.
So you survived electrocution, only to be blind in one eye, and
Yeah.
then told after a spinal tap that you have multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And you probably went, "Holy crap! What does that mean?"
Yeah, it was just really confusing. Extremely confusing. And as time progressed and I got an amazing neurologist at the time, I learned what the illness was. And, we go through the stages, um, of grief, anger, and so forth. And believe it or not, 23 years later, I'm at that stage of acceptance because that's how long I've had this illness. And this is just
Yep.
recent.
Yep. And so let me ask, what was there a realization moment where you're like, okay, I've accepted it now? Were you able to acknowledge it, or you just wake up one day and go, you know what, it ain't that bad, I'm still here? Or what? Tell me about that.
It actually had to get worse for me to accept it.
Okay.
See, I've lived with multiple sclerosis all these years, and I've never had major issues. The relapsing was once every couple of years. So it was almost like I lived without an illness. And then from there, those relapses started getting closer and closer. So every couple of years to every year, then every year to every 6 months. And then I went disabled within the last, I want to say 3 to 4 months. It hasn't been long that I started walking with a cane, wheelchair, and a walker. So that was really hard to navigate. I went into this really severe, deep depression that I would wish on no one.
Yeah.
I was always the wife and the mom who sprinted towards everything, who did everything, who did the biggest parties. I mean, I was on it. Part of the PTO for my kids and school. Like, I was on everything. And all of a sudden, those things that were so easy for me started getting harder and harder and harder. And there was a point where I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to go on. Honestly, the depression got really bad. And believe it or not, within the community that we all walk in online with autoimmune illnesses, I met a friend, Claire. I mention her all the time on my podcast because that girl got me through it. And I could not have made it through without her. I had the support of my husband and my children. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
everyone was on board. But it's one thing being on board and being compassionate and having the empathy, and it's another walking through it. So Claire was already walking through it, so she was able to help guide me.
But yeah, that's what it takes. And believe it or not, I can very similar story in many respects. Although you had a 10-year head start on me, I was diagnosed in 2013. But very similar with the rapid progression of relapses out of the blue. Although I
I've been on disability pretty much the entirety of my diagnosis, but the similar, cane, walker, wheelchair, depending on the day, depending on the level of functionality that minute, you know. But Terry is my Claire. To put that into perspective, Terry's the guy who pulled me through randomly off of Instagram. Is how we connected. So yeah, I can certainly, and I know there's a lot of our viewers and your viewers as well, who sit in their room or in their car or wherever they listen or watch from and say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going through. And it's nice to know somebody else is feeling that way too. Cause like Terry says, we'll never know how many people actually get anything out of our shows. But we all feel it's important to keep going and keep telling our story. So
Absolutely.
I got a question about the acceptance that you said. So we all have a similar story. The way I saw it at the time is I didn't use a walker. I used the cane at times when I really needed it, but instead of a cane, I should have been using a walker or a wheelchair. But I had that pride, that ego. So in the end, I felt like, okay, I give up. I'm using the wheelchair, which is not a right thinking. But then after I met so many people, I realized, no, it's the acceptance. I've accepted it, but I had to move cities to accept it. So the fact that you said that, did you always think it was an acceptance, or were you like, I'm giving up? Because that's two words that I always battle with when I talk to people. I'm like, did you accept it or did you give up? And it sounds bad.
I gave up before I accepted it. I completely gave up and didn't realize how much I had to fight for, I guess. Because when you get into that depression, it doesn't matter who's around you that loves you. They're saying all the right things. Nothing is going to sound okay or make it okay or make that feeling go away. I felt like less of a mother, less of a wife, less of a human being. The fact that literally I was running everything, doing everything and independent in that sense, and now I can't. So it's just, it's a way that you just wake up one day and realize that life can't go back to then. This is a now, and we're living in the now. And the only way to go is forward, whether that's in a wheelchair, walker, or cane. It's only moving forward. And that acceptance came slowly. Now, don't get me wrong. I still won't use a walker in public. And I do need a walker more than a cane because now it's both my legs. So,
well, like I say to Terry, if you need to hear it from somebody, you can hear it from me. You don't get bonus points for making your day harder.
Which does become a little harder.
My wife says it to me all the time. She's like, "Babe, no one's keeping score.
Yeah,
you're the only one who's struggling." And I'm like, "Okay," and I get my walker.
Have you guys been through the judgment out there in everyday life, like the stares, the comments, the jokes that are thrown, the mistreatment?
I can tell you, yes, and it's been for me, it's been many different. It has showed up many different times. Very early on in my diagnosis, I had an amazing neurologist, and he literally was like, he opened a folder and was like, "These are all the things we're going to sign you up for because you qualify for them." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I had a really good doctor. One of the things was handicap license plates. Okay. So I don't know if you can see behind me, but right up there above the logo, there's a tiny little license plate up there. That was for my motorcycle. So I had a handicap license plate for my Harley Davidson for my trike.
That's amazing.
So every time I would pull in to the handicap spot, which I was legally entitled to park in at that point and still am, I would hear comments, very vocal, very loud comments, because being an ambulatory wheelchair user, they, there's the misconception that you can either always walk or never walk when you have a wheelchair in your life.
Exactly.
And being someone who can bounce between both worlds, I caught a lot of judgment for that one.
I know what she was saying. In daily life, I always get triggered, but I'm like, okay, I must be sensitive with this thing. By the way, the whole ambulatory word, I don't like the fact that if you're in a wheelchair, you have to say it. just in case they see
Yeah.
you walking, you're like, I'm ambulatory. Like that doesn't vibe with me. There was a contestant that said it right in the beginning. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. She had MS, and I get it, right? So that's one word I wish people wouldn't say, because why do you have to say it?
Exactly.
Unless you're traveling and you're ambulatory.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Ambulatory,
Yeah.
where you can walk into your seat.
We had talked about it a
Seriously.
couple episodes ago when I said, people with this particular chronic illness are the only ones who have to justify their existence. They'd say, oh, I use this because of my MS. Oh, I need both of these things because of my MS. But yes, have definitely heard comments, have definitely experienced bias. Yeah, it's not great. It's still out there, but that's why we do what we do. So hopefully it changes people's minds.
That's the goal.
What have you? And you asked the question, so I will say that I would ask: have you run into it since you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Never before I was disabled, but now still. Even recently, I did post a video about it at the doctor office. So I was needing a new primary. The primary that I had no longer accepted my insurance. To make a long story short, my insurance companies gave me a primary to go to. And I was so excited because it was a nice office, clean. There was other Hispanic people like me. And so I was like, this is great, Basically, they kicked me out because I had multiple sclerosis. Oh, yes. And I handled it well. I filed the proper paperwork and complaints that I needed to do, but the hurt of them just looking at me. And at one point, I did not get loud or ignorant, but at one point I said, because everyone was looking at me in the office being kicked out. And I said, hey, this is not contagious. I was like, this is not.
Right.
But the lady told me they can't see me because I have multiple sclerosis and I'm going to need a lot of referrals. And I said, I already have a neurologist. I'm well established with my neurologist. I just need a primary because that's what you're supposed to have. Common cold or so forth. Nope. They said I need an internal medicine doctor, which is just, get for all,
Yeah, that's a next level. But yeah, that's like my primary says, she said, Nick, you also get regular people sick too.
Yeah.
I
was like, oh yeah, that's right.
A neurologist will be like, that's your primary doctor issue in a good way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so
wow. So they literally just straight up said, no, we can't, we got nothing for you here. Move on. Like you're going to be too much of a pain in the butt with paperwork.
We're going to have to write too many forms, too many referral forms.
I would not go to them for referrals for one, because again, I have a neurologist, whatever I need, I go to her. But that's more for like just the common cold. Like usually I go to urgent care when I have the common cold because, you know how it is to get into an appointment. It takes like a week when you're sick now. So I go to urgent care by our house and it's just more simple that way. But I just needed to be established because my insurance company said so. Exactly. And they wouldn't even do that. And even the manager talked to me, and then another manager on the phone called me from like another state telling me that they have other places I can go to for internal medicine doctors. And I'm like, that's not what I need. So
wow. You said you filed complaints, but I'm saying like that's an actionable offense. Like they just can't say you're going to be too much work, so we're not doing our job.
That's a violation of an amendment.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. Thank you. Thank you.
But reality is, our amendments, our rights, no one cares out there. Let's be real. When it comes to the medical field, we are denied constantly of things that we need. Like, I need to go to physical therapy right now. My neurologist says I do need a primary doctor, which I cannot get because I am still on the hunt for a primary doctor. And then to get into my neurologist, she's amazing, by the way. My neurologist is amazing. But because she's only one doctor that's a neurologist specialist that specializes in autoimmune diseases, everyone goes to her. So to get in with her is like a year. And then if you try to get in sooner, it's a waiting list. You're not going to get in.
Yeah, that's like my neurologist is the one doctor I don't reschedule because of the same reason. So my whole life revolves around his appointments sometimes.
Exactly.
It's like surgery date.
How many date? Yeah. So how many do you have a lot of healthcare systems down there? Like I'm in an area where we have like 3 different healthcare systems, so I can like bounce if I need to. But do you have like one big healthcare system down there?
We have 2 major ones.
Okay.
But as far as, like I was telling you, with the neurologists that specialize in autoimmune diseases, by my area, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I'm right, I think we only have 3.
Makes
So
sense. Yeah.
the other 2 doctors, again, not throwing out names, not throwing out shade at
No,
nobody,
no.
they're
Mm-mm.
horrible.
Yeah.
They use their patients as lab rats, literally. So this doctor I have is amazing, and when I found her, she's not just knowledgeable about what I'm going through, she's empathetic, which is really hard for some reason to find in a doctor nowadays. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
It's all the
nice.
forms they have to fill out and all the things they got to jump through. But I want you to talk a minute, if you would, about how it felt to find a doctor. And you said it was a she who saw you, heard you, listened to you, because that's a big thing we hear lots of times on the show from our female guests. So talk on that for a minute, if you would.
So my original neurologist that I had was a male, and he was amazing, and he retired. I mean, I loved him. We had a very good patient relationship. It got to the point because I haven't been on DMT since 2017, and my body rejects everything. And he understood that. He never forced me to try other things once we had went through it all. And that was great. It was always reassuring. It was always just a nice visit. And the person that took over is a nightmare. And she was forcing me to get on DMTs. And the problem with that, I'm not against DMTs. I've never been against them. However, I have tried almost every single one and have gotten the worst side effects. It made my MS get worse really quick. I mean, I lost my hair. My white blood cells were borderline low. What else happened? There's so many other weird things. It's just not for me, unfortunately. Not yet, at least, until they can tell me different.
Gotcha.
I've lost faith in the whole DMTs for myself. This doctor that took over, though, she was forcing me to get on, and she was very hostile about it. No bedside manners whatsoever. I have a handicap sticker. I needed it to be renewed. She basically said, I'm not renewing it unless you get on a DMT,
Wow.
which is illegal.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say that
Yeah.
doesn't sound ethical.
That's the
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
stuff I go through on a day-to-day basis over here. So,
I mean,
this one,
I understand if they say you're going to be in a wheelchair if you don't go on a DMT, which is also wrong. But to
Yeah.
say I'm not, that's crazy. Okay.
No, she told me too. She's like, you'll be disabled in 5 years or less. You need to. And I'm just like, my white blood cells after the last medication, and I'm not going to throw shade on what it is. I know what it is, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to scare anybody. My white blood cells never went back to normal. So even up to this day, from 2017, my white blood cells are still borderline low. They never went back up. And no one can tell me why, but it's off after taking the last medication I tried.
Sure.
So this new doctor that I found, she's an angel. Literally, she is an angel. And I explained to her what I went through, and I told her, look, I'm not against being on a DMT, maybe later on. You know, there's always advancements with multiple sclerosis medications. I'm open. But right now, all this stuff I've already tried. I can't go back to those days.
Yeah, no.
They did not help. They made it worse. And she understood. She's not forcing me. She gave me my handicap sticker, renewed it and was just like, here you go. And she's just sweet. So.
Yeah, it's nice when you have a healthcare provider who realizes that it's a path you're both walking.
Exactly.
And it's not, I'm going to tell you how to walk the path. It's like, hey, let's figure out the best way for you to be the best, you can be.
Exactly.
That's good. Everybody needs that.
I can't believe you found a neurologist before a doctor, a family doctor or a physician.
Originally, I did have a great family doctor, but she stopped taking my insurance. And so when that happened, I had to find somewhere else. So my insurance company was like, okay, we'll send you here. And that here did not work. And so I'm still on the search. It's so hard to get a good doctor where I am.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm in a very spoiled region. I mean, you know where I'm at, and you know the hospitals that are in and around Philadelphia. So I have my pick of the litter up here. I'm spoiled.
Yeah, I need to probably move out of this state and go somewhere else that can offer me better health care.
And that's something that does factor in. Like, people don't realize, so if you have to move for work, you have no choice. You're like, okay, work's moving, I got to work. But if you have a choice to say, okay, I want to move, or I'm gonna move,
Yeah,
one of the things you factor in is like access to healthcare. And
exactly.
I've looked at places and said, no, I don't think we should even get a vacation house there. Not that I'm in a position to really get one of those now, but at the time I was like, how close is the nearest hospital that could deal with me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Well,
makes sense.
the nearest hospital to me, I won't even step foot in because I have, and they're horrible. I was hospitalized a couple of months ago, and I have heart issues after having my last child. So my heart monitor was going, I think my heartbeats were like almost 300 beats a minute. So the
gee
machine was
whiz.
going berserk,
Sure.
and I was right across from the nurse's station. They were too busy on their phones, and then one of the nurses
Yeah.
was trying to get with one of the girls that were there. So and then the lady in the room next to
What?
me, who was way more disabled than I was and was totally like paralyzed from the waist down, was screaming she had to go to the bathroom. She needed help. They told her to do it herself. That's the kind of medical care that's over here.
There's so many lawsuits
Dude,
hanging out
what's
there.
going on, man?
Crazy.
Yet people get away with it all the time. Doctors get away with
Yeah.
so much.
You know, that was the sad thing. It was like, hey, we're 6 years out from the pandemic. All those pandemic nurses and doctors have graduated, and they're
Yep.
out there now. So that's another thing to consider. And I'm not throwing shade on them. I'm just saying they were robbed the ability to have a traditional education, but they did most of it like we're doing this interview.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's not necessarily their fault. They were, but
Yeah.
they, it is
We
what it
live in a
is.
different world, man.
We do.
Well, in
Yeah.
14 more years, we'll have another amazing neurologist, which is my son.
All right.
Nice.
Is he taking up the mantle of like, I'm going to figure this thing out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud of him, but at the same time, I'm worried because I am his mom, and my kids and I are very close. I have 3 kids, and since he was about 4 years old, when they always ask you at school, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Neurologist. It was always neurologist to specialize in autoimmune diseases because he wanted to help me with multiple sclerosis.
Oh,
So
sweet.
he's actually in college right now studying to be a
Hey,
neurologist.
that's
Dude,
awesome.
That's crazy. Cool.
Yeah. My future doctor.
There you go.
When he was young, he could say neurologist properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the only thing I hid from my kids was pain whenever I was in pain. I mean, we're great at masking. Like, you put on that smile, nobody knows.
Absolutely.
But they always do. Mommy has this, and this is what this is. I mean, my husband and I have always explained that to them at a very young age. Now,
yeah, that pays off when they get older.
it does. It helps so much. I mean, it helped formed in his head at a very young age. This is what I want to do for a living.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Does that make you feel proud that he wants to be that because
Of
of you?
course.
Yeah, very, very worried though, again, because I'm his mom. And I always tell him, like, you can't save the world. You can try and you can put your heart into it and give society what we need. It's not just medical care. It's just a doctor with a heart, a doctor that shows compassion, that shows empathy for what you're going through. And he has all those things. Like, he's going to be great. But I am worried that as multiple sclerosis progresses, it's going to take him out of all my kids a little bit harder.
Well, my grandmother used to say, "Don't suffer future pain."
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to use that with my kids.
Feel free. And that, and that served me well because we get into that. We worry about those type of things. And then, it's the future. You don't know. Right.
True. Very true.
But we
That's
all do it
me.
as parents. We all do it. Everybody,
Yeah.
So
When you had your child, were you worried that MS is genetic? Did you know about MS?
Well, I had my first son in 2000, and I wasn't diagnosed until 2003. So, again, it didn't click in my head because I wasn't informed really what MS was. Like, it didn't really occur to me, and I know that sounds ridiculous, until like years, like, okay, this is really bad. I was more worried for my third child because I have two boys. That was the two. And then the third one was the girl. Because I know for some reason, statistically speaking, the percentage is always higher on passing it to a daughter, right? If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Somebody will fact check us in the comments. Don't worry about it.
Please do.
Everyone has their own opinions. No,
But,
I read
yeah.
it over here. Like, anyway, yes, go ahead.
And with my middle, I think we were only worried for a short time period. When he was younger, he had issues with walking. He had ataxia and walked like he was drunk at a very, very young age. And nobody could tell me what it was. We got him checked to make sure it wasn't multiple sclerosis. And of course it wasn't. But we still, up to this day, don't know why he walked like he was drunk until he was like 6, I think. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Medical
And that's all you can say is you go, huh? Yeah, that's. I have a family member, a distant family. Well, not too distant, but I have an extended family member who, as a child, had terrible seizures up until the age 6, and he's never had one since.
That's like my oldest.
Yeah, it's just like,
yeah.
sometimes they just growing up, it just some weird stuff happens.
Really does.
Let's
That's
pivot
crazy.
if we can. I'm glad to hear that your family is so behind you and that he's going to do great things. And I want his name and number when he gets and becomes a neurologist.
Absolutely.
Because I love mine, but I need a younger one because he's 20 years older than I am. So I think he's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah, he'll retire like my first doctor, which was
yeah.
so sad to see him go.
Let's talk about the podcast, how you got into it, what you do with it. Let's give us the rundown on The Demon Within.
Well, originally, The Demon Within is my third podcast, and I started out with my husband podcasting about relationships, Cream in My Coffee podcast with Teddy and Jenny, and
Nice.
that
Love it.
was really great. I mean, we did really great. We touched so many hearts out there, but because of his work schedule changing, it made it harder to attend to that podcast because we were focusing on his days off podcasting. And in a marriage, my husband and I have been together 28 years. So in a marriage, like, you don't want to have that all your focus because you want date time. You want that alone time to talk and just not podcasting, not behind a microphone. So we realized how much it was taken away from our marriage, and we had to stop. I mean, our marriage comes first, unfortunately, before the podcast. And a lot of people didn't quite understand. And then from there, my daughter, my youngest, she got into ghost hunting. So I'm all
No
for the
way.
spooky stuff. Yeah. So milkshakes and ghosts, I probably have some stuff behind there. We got into ghost hunting, and we would go on location, on site, we'd podcast, we'd video about it, and it was fun. The catching this stuff was really fun.
Yeah, it is wild, especially in your area down there.
Very much.
That
There's so
is-
many places.
Terry, that is historically a literal
Ghost town.
cornucopia of ghosts. Yeah, there's a lot going on down there.
A whole lot.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter was fearless just like me. So, like, it was husband wanted nothing to do with it. He was like, no. But me and her were like, let's go. And it was fun. And then, of course, she got older. And Jen, doesn't want to do that anymore because it's embarrassing. Doesn't want to
Yeah,
do
life
things,
happens.
Yeah. So then, of course, my multiple sclerosis within the last couple of months got worse. And I started The Demon Within Surviving MS in January. The first episode came out. And that was really hard for me because I had opened up about my multiple sclerosis with my husband on that platform once. And I remember just crying like a lot. And I didn't want to go through the emotions. I will say this, starting The Demon Within Surviving MS has been therapeutic for me. It's not just touching the lives of others, because if I could just reach one person out there and make a difference, that means the world to me. It's about also me healing, because MS has taken so much from me. It's taken everything. And healing is part of this process. And podcasting about it, I'm talking about my feelings, which I've never been able to do before. So it's making a difference, especially like I'm by myself with a microphone. I can say how I feel. There's nobody else to, say anything. And it's just, I'm just realizing like parts of me that I didn't even know were there, and the hurt that was there, I didn't know that it existed until now. So it's been a journey. I love it.
Yeah, it's. I can tell you, Terry and I started this for therapeutic reasons. When we talk to all these people who have the same condition to varying degrees, it opens my eyes to, oh, if this happens in my life, I know somebody who's doing great with
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. So I'll be doing great. So no matter what comes down the line, I'll meet somebody or talk to somebody and go, oh yeah, we talked to a guy who does that, or a woman who has this going on. And so it's actually making it, I don't want to say easier, but making it easier to accept whatever this thing's throwing at me.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah.
So that's the benefit. And it feels a little selfish, but hey, that's the way it goes.
I say
Well,
that
you're
all the
also
time
helping
too.
others too, though,
Yeah.
because your podcast is amazing. I wasn't, as I talked to you before, Terry, I'm a little antisocial, and I was hesitant to get on your show. I've been asked for countless other shows, and I have said no, no, no. But Ricky Harvey was on your show. He's a good friend of mine. And I was like, okay. And I watched your show, and I was like, they're really good. Like, they seem fun.
Oh,
So
too kind.
let's roll with it.
Too kind.
Yo, Ricky Harvey mentioned you, just so you know.
That's true.
On our show,
Awesome.
right? Yeah.
So where can we find you? What platforms are you on? When people hear this episode come out, they're going to want to absolutely hear what you're having to say. So where can they find you?
I'm on all platforms, but if you want a visual, which I recommend doing the visual, because if you haven't seen my podcast as of yet, I throw in a lot of special effects. I don't like just talking about like whatever topic we're covering that day. I like doing the visualization so that people get a feel, and it's not boring. Like,
Absolutely.
it's like a show, like an actual like movie show. So YouTube and Spotify are the best places for that. And anywhere else, if you're listening audio wise, wherever you can get your music or podcasts.
Perfect. And The Demon Within, Surviving MS. And Terry will link down the bottom of this episode.
Thank you.
Jenny, I want to say it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. And I do hope we get the opportunity to do it again soon.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, brother, you did it again. You always manage to find the highest quality guests. You just, I don't know how you do it, but you time after time, they're just amazing people to talk to. And she was no exception. I want to wish her son the best of luck in his studies, and I hope he's very successful and gets into the field, because we need more neurologists out there who actually have a personal connection to this.
That's cool.
So that they can be like she said, compassionate and understanding, because it is so vastly different person to person that you need someone who understands that, and not someone who just walks in the room and says, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
True
so
that.
wish him well. It was lovely to talk to her. And I know it won't be the last time for sure.
And we appreciate Ricky Harvey for introducing us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it is. It's connections. If, this is the community that we exist in, and we appreciate everybody who reaches out and talks to us. So until next week, brother. Thanks
Definitely,
everybody
man.
for sticking around to the end. I'll say it for Terry, because he's in a fog. Like, share, and subscribe. I know.
Really,
I know. Listen, I know it was a rough weekend. I know your energy has not recovered yet from, and that's another thing to highlight. Even though you had a fantastic weekend and it was full of laughter and new connections and great food, it still robs you of your energy, and it turns the fatigue way up, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but I'm okay. I'm great. I'm glad to be back, bro. Till next time.
All right. Talk soon, everybody.
Later.
So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4, the letter T, below zero.com. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. And if you don't want to email us, no problem. We're on Instagram as @40belowzero. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you, and we'll talk soon.